because there's been a lot of backlash and stuff going on over the last 18 months. For me, that's not acceptable. Most of it is my fault, but just need to change my ways. I wasn't willing to go anywhere without my mum. Not to be like a mummy's boy.
Yeah.
I am. Perfect. There's not a single thing I can say about him that's negative. Terrific manager, honestly, and he just gave me so much confidence to, just to express myself in the final third. I'm in the limelight. People look up to me, even if I'm playing for Bournemouth. People look up to anyone else in the team and other teams, but a lot of pressure and bad light put on me. It just took all my confidence away.
From working under Eddie, do you think there's more that maybe he could have done to get the best out of you?
I think he tried his hardest.
Jordan, if you had a message for any potential suitors that might say Jordan Ibe, he's damaged goods, or he's got an attitude, as we always hear in the media, what would your message be to them?
Have a chat with me first.
Hello listeners, and welcome back to yet again another episode of the Beautiful Game podcast. As ever, I'm your host Budge, joined by my faithful two co-conspirators Dot and Dej. Before I introduce the chaps, a quick reminder, if you're not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do, and make sure you also leave a thumbs up at the bottom of this video. Also want to remind you that you can listen to the audio versions of all of our interviews via Spotify. So get checking those out. Now, gents, without further ado, how's it going?
I'm good. I can't wait for this one, bro.
Looking forward to it too, man. How about you, Dej?
I'm good, bro. We've been chasing this one for like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
I was literally in Birmingham. He asked, what, do you know Jordan Ibe? Unfortunately, like one of my mentors knew someone close to Jordan, so we've been able to hook it up. This is someone that we've wanted to speak to for a while, so yeah, let's get it cracking.
100%, man.
Pleasure, man. It's a pleasure.
It's great. We're looking forward to this one. Of course, we're joined by another one of South London's finest. This gentleman from Bermondsey to the big league in 2012 when he signed for Liverpool after becoming the youngest ever Football League player and goal scorer for Wycombe Wanderers. Of course, in the Premier League, we've seen him dropping shoulders and selling dreams, taking people by the cars and leaving them at the bus stop. So it's going to be really, really interesting to chop it up with this guy and get a bit of a backdrop with regards to his career. So without further ado, we welcome Jordan Ibe to the platform.
Welcome, bro.
Welcome, bro.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, man. The love's always different when it's a fellow South Londoner, man. So we're looking forward to this one. So of course, Jordan, we want to speak about your career and start off at the very beginning and talk about where you are at currently. But before that, I wanted to ask you a question about family and how important it is to you. Now, of course, you recently became a father, and often when you speak to or parents in general, they always say that having children gives them a new direction in life, and like it gave them a different perspective, because all of a sudden it's no longer them just thinking about covering their own back or sorting themselves out. They've got another mouth to feed and someone else to look after. And so I wanted to ask you if that was all like the same kind of situation that you felt as well. Like, is the case the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. When I had my daughter in 2018, it kind of shaped me up. The love is pure, like my little twin. And obviously, as you said, it's another mouth to feed. So it's just like I'm playing for her now.
Yeah, so
definitely.
Jordan, like when we do this show, we like going through the careers of players, but I think on this episode, we want to do it a bit different. So who is Jordan Ibe? You see the headlines, sometimes they're damaging, it can border on a defamation of character, but people don't actually think about the human side. So what do you get up airtime and what do you value?
Must do with family and my close friends, and I have my daughter from time to time. So that's the main three things. So
yeah, even growing up in Bermondsey, obviously we're from, the same ends, South Bermondsey. I grew up, near the train station, near the Greggs and that. Obviously, Down the Blue. Yeah, you know about Down the Blue?
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
down
course.
the blue. Only Bermondsey man know that lingo. So, how was it growing up in Bermondsey?
Yeah, it was calm. Yeah, I had a few friends around there. Went to the same primary school. Most of the time, I used to kick ball at Tabard.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that,
yeah.
I was there every day after school, just playing with the older lads, and that's where it really kicked off for me.
Jordan, outside of football, what do you like doing? So who is Jordan Ibe the man? What are your interests outside of the game?
I'm quite a reserved person. I like to stay in the house. If I'm with my daughter, then occasionally go out. But I prefer to stay in the house and just chill, just relax.
Fair play. Just following on from that, question I wanted to ask. It's a bit of a random one. You probably haven't been asked this question before, but it's like a 1A and 1B kind of question. So the first one is, in terms of music, what's the song on your playlist that is getting the most attention at the moment? What song are you playing most frequently? 1. And 2, I can see you're a man of taste. You know, you like the finer things and you dress well. So if you're stepping out to a function now, what is your trainer of choice and what's the colorway? Those are the 2 questions I want to ask.
A lot of my sneakers are either Jordans or Air Force Ones, but they're custom to like what I like.
Yeah.
Come on.
Drip,
I
drip.
don't really wear designer crepes like Louis Vuittons and stuff like that and Balenciaga. I leave that to the clothes, and then if I'm stepping out, I might just have on all black J4s or the Travis Scotts, the high tops, the brown ones, or Air Force Ones.
Okay.
Jordan,
the song, you forgot the song, Jordan.
And the song, well, I'm a major fan of Travis Scott, but on my playlist right now that I'm listening to is a guy called Suave Sinatra.
Yeah,
you guys. Yeah, I relate with him. And a friend of mine as well. He lives close to me. So his music's phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for him to blow up.
Jordan, you put a huge faith in God. I always see you, putting up scriptures or talking about how God has been so great for you. Why is that so important to you?
I was raised in a family of always going to church. I was in church for 12 years. And then what kind of distance it was football. Churches on the weekend, I could have a game on the weekend, on a Sunday. And to be fair, it became my decision. I wasn't really going to church, but I'd still, check in when I can. My uncle's a pastor, and also I just read like scriptures of the day. So I've got like the Bible app, and I just felt like it was something I needed to do because there's been a lot of backlash and stuff going on over the last 18 months. For me, that's not acceptable. Not saying most of it is my fault, but just need to change my ways.
Yeah, so Jordan, you mentioned that a lot of stuff happened in the last 18 months, and obviously we're going to go through that, but we want to start at the start of your career. Wickham, young, hotshot, bursting through the scenes. Yeah. You came to my attention when you knocked one in against Sheffield Wednesday, and you ran to your family to celebrate. Months later, Liverpool came in and they made the offer to sign. We were studying our GCSEs at that age. So for a young man going through that transition, being, one of the young players at Wycombe Wanderers, then the big old Liverpool coming to, sign you. How was those few months?
Sorry about that. It was quite hectic, I got a lot of respect from teachers at school, a lot of leeway. To some
you didn't have to do the homework.
No comment. But yeah, it was enjoyable, and everything just happened fast. So I'd be in school maybe Monday to Tuesday or Monday to Wednesday. Rest of the week, I'm up in Liverpool in a hotel. Pardon me.
How difficult was that transition from going from a small local club like Wickham all the way to one of the biggest footballing clubs in the world in Liverpool? How difficult was it for you?
Difficult at the beginning. A lot of the players that I was playing with at the time were majority Scouse. If they weren't Scouse, they were like players that they had bought from like Brazil or next country that didn't really speak English. So for the Scousers, no disrespect, when I first got there, I couldn't understand a word.
Yeah.
From the manager, from the players on my team, in the under 18s and in the reserves. But it grew on me.
And what would you say your support system was like, Jordan? Because obviously, like Dej mentioned, at the time, you were taking your exams, so you're still very, very young. You're in a completely new and different setting. There's so much that you've got to adapt and adjust to. What were your family like in that time? Were they very supportive of you? And do you feel like, you know, the club and the other invested parties did enough to sort of help you and nurture you along that journey?
Yeah, definitely. They provided a house for my mum and put my brother and sister into good schools, grammar schools. So it was good for them, so they could get their education. And I wasn't willing to go anywhere without my mum. Not to be like a mummy's boy.
Yeah.
I am.
You always got to deny them ones.
All the way up. I wasn't going to go all the way up north and have my family still down here. So it was all of us or nothing.
Yeah, so obviously Brendan Rodgers brought you in. He's a top, you know, young manager doing big things at Leicester City right now. So how is your relationship with him like now? Because what we found on our podcast is he always has a great synergies with us boys from South. You know, Frank Nuble's come on and said it. John Joe Shelby said the same thing. How's he been with you?
Perfect. There's not a single thing I can say about him that's negative. Terrific manager, honestly. And he just gave me so much confidence to, you know, just to express myself in the final third.
There was that game against Everton. You know, I remember we were playing 3 at the back and you went on that mazy run and it slapped the post. That big pressure game against Everton. For young, how was it going into that game?
A little bit of nerves, can't lie. But I think it was my first derby. And you already know the history between the two clubs, especially playing away from home. So it was quite difficult, but we played well, and I just wish that shot went in.
Man of the match performance, though.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, Stevie, he said some words when we had the interview after the game, and that encouraged me for the rest of the season.
Speaking of pressure, in 2015, Raheem Sterling departed Liverpool, and internally there was a lot of confidence that, you know, they had Jordan Ibe, and they said, listen, this guy is going to be as good as Raheem Sterling. A lot of the media hyped you up as well. Do you almost feel like that added a lot of pressure on you?
To some extent, you know, because Raheem's a top guy. You know, me and him still speak now. He still gives me advice, but he's a terrific football player. So to, you know, live up to him, it's always going to be difficult, and especially being at Liverpool. They expect the best of the best, and Raheem was playing phenomenal. So it was a bit of pressure for me to play at his level and at the level of the whole team.
And going back a bit, Jordan, obviously Brendan is a manager who thinks very highly of you. And he spoke about the fact that you are a very versatile player and you can play out wide on either flank. You can play as a striker. You can play as a striker, as a playmaker as well. In your opinion, where do you feel is your most comfortable position? Where are you most at home?
For me, funny thing is, Liverpool bought me as a striker.
Ooh.
And then put me on the wing. But I've always felt like I like to play in a number 10 role, like the free role. Maybe get the ball from deep, go pass it out wide, or link with a striker. Or if I can't play there, then either wings, because it wouldn't be a problem for me because I can use either feet.
Yeah, so during the time you were at Liverpool, it was stockpiled with a lot of talent. You had Daniel Sturridge, Suarez, Raheem, Coutinho. How was it like being in that changing room? Did you think to yourself, I could break through, or potentially opportunities might have to come elsewhere?
I thought both things, but the thing that came to my mind is when I wake up, I was smiling because I know I'd be with these guys today. And it's like, even though I'm training with them, I'm still watching the show. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like I used to bring my friends to training and my stepdad, and they can vouch for me. Like in training, Stevie, he never lost the ball.
Wow.
Never, ever.
So how good is he? People talk about central midfielders in the Prem. People talk about Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard. Where would you rank him in terms of all-time football centre mids? Sorry,
I'm putting him first.
Wow.
Not because I used to play for Liverpool, but I'm putting him first. His leadership. The other two they have leadership, but I just felt like Gerrard was something else, especially coming from Liverpool himself, being captain. You've seen his career, a top player.
In October 2015, Jurgen Klopp was brought into the club, widely regarded as one of the best managers in the world. What kind of impact did he have on you?
There was a little transition there because I think he wanted to, get the first team in shape, and then maybe, put some of the young players on loan, i.e. me. Little training match, and I performed well, and that's when it clicked then. And then he started showing faith in me.
I remember that favourite clip when he was like, IB.
Yeah. Everyone remembers that. But yeah, he gave me so much confidence. He was like a father figure on the pitch, 100%. Even if I had a bad game or a good game, he still clap the back of my head like he's my uncle.
Remember that game against Rubin Kazan after the game when you sunk into his jacket? Obviously, we've seen him go on to turn around the team to make them the best team in the world right now. What are the secrets of his success? Because everyone looks on the outside, we see the pressing, we see the high energy, but working in that dressing room, what have you seen that makes him stand out as the best manager in the world right now?
He just makes the team as one, no arguments. Just make the team as one. The philosophy behind it as well. And he made, it was like 26, 27 players in the squad. He made everyone feel like he was their dad. He gave everyone an opportunity, and I'm grateful for that.
Who did you congratulate after, winning the Premier League title? Obviously, Liverpool are now champions of England. Did you send a text to anyone? Have you spoken to anyone to say well done?
I haven't messaged anyone yet, to be fair. I will do, though.
No, we saw your Instagram post, though.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I showed love there.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Jordan, you know what? I wanted to dial back to the question that Dot asked a bit earlier about like pressure. And okay, in one sense, we're obviously talking about it in relation to you and Raheem Sterling. But another thing that comes to mind is like often in the media, a player as the next this player or the next that player.
Always.
Do you feel that also is something that adds unnecessary pressure to an individual? And you know, in your case, has comparisons like that meant that you've maybe subconsciously tried to mold your game according to a particular player, and it may not have felt very natural to you, but you felt like you kind of had to?
Yeah, because I'm a player that I like the ball to feet, whether I'm deep or not. Obviously, I want it to feet high up the pitch. But Raheem, something that he mastered was making runs in behind or across the pitch. And that was something that I had to learn from him. And Brendan told me to. And it started working.
Yeah, so Jordan, obviously you were at Liverpool, you had some loan spells, you went to Derby. That was a very, very fruitful time for you at the club. There's a player I want to talk to you about, Jordan Henderson. You see him getting pelters in the press all the time. And he should be a strong candidate for player of the season. How is he like to play with? How is it like being in the changing room with him? Because people question his ability, but I always say it's the intangibles that make a player. So walking into Melwood every day, what standards was he setting?
High standards. You know, like there's times he would speak to me before, when we're coming on the pitch. He'll be like, "Jord, you're going to beat him today." Whether I'm feeling under pressure or not, before the game's even started, he's telling me, "Jord, you're going to beat him today." Interim, Jord, make sure you're focusing. All these stuff, like he'd be on to me. And onto other players as well, senior players, but that's how he was.
What, so do you almost feel that he should be, you know, given the PFA Player of the Year this season? Do you think he's been the standout player in the Premier League this season?
Yes. Him and other players, but
over Kevin De Bruyne? Over Kevin De Bruyne?
No, Henderson.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so Jordan, obviously you had a spell at Liverpool that came to an end. You made a record move for Bournemouth at the time, £15 million. You left with Brad Smith as well, who came on a lower fee. What made you come to that decision to say that, you know what, my time is at Liverpool is at an end?
I had a chat with Klopp, and he thought it was best, you know, to like spread my wings. But we always put in the contract that within the 3 seasons there's a buyback clause. So I went thinking, you know what, I need to have more time on the pitch, because he brought in Mane, and then the following season I think he brought in Mo Salah. Yeah, so I just thought I need to change clubs and, you know, become the main man there.
So at the time, did you have any interest from elsewhere, or were Bournemouth the only club that were vying for your signature?
To be honest, there was interest from elsewhere, but I won't.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you made the move to Bournemouth, and for me as a fan, I'm a Liverpool fan, Jordan. I was disappointed, but I knew, listen, there's a special talent in here. And when I saw you move into Bournemouth under Eddie Howe's tutelage, I was thinking, this is the perfect move for you. You started off well, but you almost petered out, you know, as time went on. What do you think went wrong at Bournemouth?
I don't want to talk too much, you know. Don't know. No, I can't pinpoint it.
Yeah, because you hear Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall, Steve Fletcher come out and say, the boy's got all the ability in the world. I even saw Callum Wilson on Soccer AM saying, they asked him, who's the best player at the club? He said, Jordan Ibe. So do you believe there's off the field factors that were contributing to you maybe not performing to the level that you could?
110%.
So what factors there were that couldn't or wasn't aiding your performances on the pitch?
Within me,
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Okay. What, going clubs and that?
Occasionally, or yeah, just them sort of stuff.
Jordan, would you say that the media contributed to it as well? Because for me, it almost seems like your confidence was knocked. I saw a lot of bad press all the time. Jordan Ibe doing this, Jordan Ibe doing that. What do you have to say to any of that?
You know, I'm in the limelight. People look up to me, even if I'm playing for Bournemouth. People look up to anyone else in the team and other teams. But there was a lot of pressure and bad light put on me, and it just took all my confidence away. Like, took it.
How tough was that mentally for you, though, bro?
I was stressed out, and I just want to go back home.
Really?
Can't
Was there
lie.
like abuse on Instagram, abuse on Twitter? Because I know that can be a very vile place at times.
Yeah, there was. On Instagram, and even in the Bournemouth area. So I just wanted to go back home,
Yeah, because Jordan,
which is London.
a lot of people just see the headlines and they think he's getting X amount of money, he should be immune to criticism. But if there was a message that you could put out to maybe sections of the press or these trolls, these abusers, what would you say to them?
There would be a lot of things I'd have to say, to be fair. Yeah. But it was just like a piss take. I used to just get under my skin a lot of the time.
So would you like maybe talk to family, teammates, senior pros in the dressing room?
Nah, I like to keep myself to myself. Only person I spoke to was really Nathan Aki and Lise Musset, but Nathan for advice, my family. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Jordan? I think often people forget still how young you are. Because you came on the scene at such a young age, right? And you've been able to amass so much experience in this short space of time. It's like, you know, people forget that you're still only what, 24, right? So you're still like very, very young in terms of your playing career. You've got so many years ahead of you. So what I wanted to ask you is that if you were to take your career as like two phases, you've just ended the first phase and now you're going to go into the second phase of your career. Looking back, what's the one thing, or what are the few things that you take as experiences and things that you've learned that you're going to change in this next phase of your career going forward?
A lot of stuff at Bournemouth to do with myself. Yeah. Don't want to say anything else.
Yeah.
Do you almost feel like when Raheem Sterling hit out in 2018, that's changed the way the media have perceived you a bit? Or do you think it's still been the same old rhetoric and the same old narrative in regards of reporting to you?
I think it's been the same.
So what is it, like blingy, flash?
Them sort of stuff, cars.
Yeah, so Jordan, I remember listening to recently, Glenn Johnson came out on a radio station and he sort of said, Eddie Howe can't deal with star players. He's used to dealing with players from a lower profile. And he cited you and Jermaine Defoe as, you know, cases. From working under Eddie, do you think there's more that maybe he could have done to get the best out of you?
I think he tried his hardest, but it's hard to say because, you know, this will go everywhere. I think he tried his hardest, to be fair, but it just didn't click.
So how is he as a coach as well? Because we see on the TV a young manager that wants to play a progressive game. He seems like a nice man. So obviously you've been in the four walls of Bournemouth's training ground. How is he like, him and Jason Tindall?
Yeah, they're good guys.
Mm.
Yeah, they're really sweet. They're really sweet to that.
So what's
Say that again, sorry?
They really conversate with them much.
Okay, so it's much more of a standoffish relationship, because when I see Eddie Howe, he's a manager that likes to talk to his players, get into their personal lives and, interact with them that way.
Maybe with others.
So, because from the way you're speaking now, it's like, there's something maybe that went amiss that you probably thought, you know what, I didn't get the treatment I deserve. So maybe some failings were on my behalf, but also the club could have done more to assist and aid me. Is that fair analysis?
That's you saying it. That's you saying it.
Clever. Very
That's
clever.
you
Jordan,
saying it.
what were the differences? Because when I look at it on face value, Brendan Rodgers, young manager, Eddie Howe, young manager, both of them have this attacking progressive philosophy. So what was the difference between you clicking with Brendan and you not quite clicking with Eddie?
I don't know, the ball is not exactly the same, from Brendan's team to the team I was in at Bournemouth. They tried to be, but it wasn't the same. And I just had this, from day one, just clicked with the manager. And he treated me like a father figure as well.
You know what, Jordan? I wanted to go back again to the point I was making about the next phase of your career, right? So in the past, been a number of different clubs abroad that have been rumoured to have been interested in you, like Napoli, Fiorentina, Espanyol, and Celtic, for example. Now look at it. Would you consider moving abroad in this phase of your life now to sort of go into the next phase of your career? And is it a bit more difficult to think about moves like that now that you've got your daughter? How does that change the dynamic?
Yeah, you've kind of answered all of it. That's been in the back of my mind, for me to maybe move away abroad, but it's not me not seeing my daughter as much, and that would frustrate me.
Yeah, we've seen already throughout this interview that you're a big family man. You've spoken a lot about your mum, about your daughter, your stepdad. I want to go into the incident in 2019 when there was the crash into the shop in Bromley. There was a wide media coverage of the incident, and maybe for a young player this could be overwhelming. And I remember you saying in the verdict that you're going to take a look at yourself and undergo the treatment you need to become a better person and make better decisions. So what sort of things have you been doing to try and change yourself and change your outlook on life?
To be honest, with all that was happening, it was just getting the better of me. I was getting stressed out or depressed at the time. So I needed to go to like a private facility and just cool off for a bit.
So would you say now you're in a much, much more better place?
Yeah, definitely.
Good, brother.
Good.
I'm not thinking them stupid thoughts anymore, because I was getting too much stress. Too much stress.
So how do you
having to go?
How do you manage that stress now?
Oh, it's the team I have around me. I keep it small and I conversate with my mum every day.
Yeah, so Jordan, what I wanted to ask about one of your teammates. You mentioned him, Nathan Ake. There's someone that's been giving you advice. He's been rumoured to be linked with the top clubs, you know, Manchester City, Manchester United. Obviously,
Chelsea.
we saw Ole having a word in his ear and they sort of smiled. So we don't know what's happening there. But do you think he's got the ability to play super clubs?
100%. I want to see him do that. You know, he deserves it. He's been such a top player for Bournemouth. And even when he went back to Chelsea, didn't play as much, but he's a terrific player. And no threat to Bournemouth, because they've nurtured him, they've helped him on his way to the player he is today. But, you know, he's good enough to be at them top clubs. I'd love to see it on there.
What do you make so far of the season Bournemouth have had? They came to the Premier League, you know, they were fresh as ever, attacking team, dynamic. But this season, everything seems to have disintegrated. And, you know, people have maybe said that Eddie Howe might walk, he might resign. And in a few of their recent performances, it looks that all is not well. So what would you say is the reason for the demise this season?
I don't know, maybe lack of confidence. I know just before lockdown there was a lot of injuries. I don't know really. Don't know.
You know what I wanted to ask you. So it's going back to that point about thinking about potentially having to play abroad to sort of go into the next stage of your career, right? And I wondered if you were in contact with any players that that currently are playing abroad. So, you know, of course, everybody knows about Jadon Sancho leaving City and going over to Germany to play for Dortmund, and how that's really just elevated his career. Other players as well that have gone to play abroad. Ademola Lookman, and loads of others that I can't even think of at the moment, right? But have you ever considered getting in touch with those players and speaking to them about their experiences, how they're finding it abroad, just to get yourself a different perspective?
Some players have spoken to me. Just told me that, you know, the league will be better for me, better suited for me. But I've obviously just taken it as, you know, information and not really dwelled on it. But that conversation has happened. Yeah.
Just to go back to Bournemouth quickly, do you think, you know, this is the year that's actually going to culminate in the club getting relegated, or do you think they're going to have enough to get out of that mess at the bottom?
50-50. I hope they don't, but it's 50-50.
And what have you been doing in your own life and your personal life to stay fit? Obviously, you're looking for a new club now. What have you been doing to stay on top of things?
You know, our family here, they sort of like a nutritionist for me. And my cousin sorted out like a PT for me. So we train a couple times a week. I've got the Peloton bike, so that keeps me sweating as well in the house. So there's a couple stuff, and just like today, I just came back from playing football. Yeah.
How many goals did you bang?
Yeah.
Too many.
No, I like it. Yeah, so Jordan, this must be a bit of a funny situation for you. From 15 up to 24, you've been in clubs, you've been contracted. How have you managed to like keep that focus and see that light at the end of the tunnel? Because your fellow pros, they're back playing, you know, Premier League's back, Championship's back. So how does it feel?
It's weird. Very weird. Never been in this position. I feel like it would have been different if I was obviously going as a free transfer at the appropriate time, but everything's been pushed back, so it's a bit different.
Because it's funny, I know Bournemouth offered you a contract in and around January, but you actually rejected it. So it seems that this was made by you, but obviously, as you mentioned, with COVID and that, it just messes up the whole market. Clubs haven't got money. And is the phone ringing?
The phone has been ringing. I don't answer though. I leave that to my mum and stepdad. And yeah, to your other thing, yeah, they did offer a contract, but they didn't want to say.
So obviously the phone's been ringing. At what level? Is it Premier League level, Championship? Is it abroad? What is it?
I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, there's been rumours.
You'll see it.
There's been rumours about Celtic and Crystal Palace, you know, knocking on the door and showing strong interest. But if you're gonna,
Really?
I know that. Stop it. Stop it.
Jordan's doing media. So Jordan, if you had a message for any potential suitors that might say Jordan Ibe, he's damaged goods, or he's got an attitude, as we always hear in the media, what would your message be to them?
Have a chat with me first. 100%. And you'll get a different vibe, different energy.
That's what I'm saying, because a lot of people that I've spoken to that know you personally say that you're a nice guy, like you train hard. Even Glenn Johnson said that at the same stage, you were training harder than Raheem Sterling, you know, so he had a lot of praise.
That's big stuff. Yeah, that's big stuff.
And what I wanted to say, Jordan, is as soon as that move happens, yeah, and you pick up you eventually do pick up the phone and you agree to a contract, the first player you need to come back to share the story is here.
Yeah,
virtual handshake.
Man.
You're signing a contract right now, a virtual handshake.
Nah, big up.
Yeah, definitely.
No, big up, Jordan. Like, we want to see you do well, and this is the purpose for platforms like ours, to bring footballers on or professionals on, tell your side of the story, because all we see is a headline: Jordan Ibe this, Jordan Ibe does that, and there's no context. So I think you coming on has provided context. Like you said, you've made some mistakes. Obviously, there's other things that have happened outside of football. So I respect and big you up for coming on our platform, bro.
Yeah,
I respect it. I appreciate you guys taking that time as well.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
Jordan,
man.
we
Love
want to
every
stay in
time.
contact with you, and we wish you all the best, and hopefully that next move works out for you and you take to it like a duck to water, bro, because we really want you to do well as a fellow South Londoner as well, bro. So big up yourself, yeah, and love
Thank
for
you,
coming
man.
on.
big up yourself, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you very much to all of you as well that have listened in. I said it at the beginning, but I'm going to remind you again. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe right now. Also, like the video. And if you want to listen to any of our audio interviews, then you can do so on Spotify. You can also do so on SoundCloud and on Apple Podcasts as well. And if you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. You can follow us on Twitter at podcast_TBG and on Instagram at pod_TBG. And until the next episode, over and out.
Peace.